It's officially the offseason. What the hell will we talk about? Colson Montgomery? And we'll talk to Elijah Evans. Other than that, we'll figure it out here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Download their app, use code CHGO365. When you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets when you do. I actually don't even know if we're still presented by Bet365 because technically this isn't even a post-game show. Do they even care about me, a lowly baseball show, if there's no baseball going on with my team?
It's all over now, Sean. It's all over now. No, we're still presented by Bet365.
Oh, great. We love our friends over at Bet365. Sign up today with code CHGO365. You bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets when you sign up. There is playoff baseball in Chicago. I will not promote the CHGO Cubs show because I'm assuming if you're watching this,
how dare
you're either like Ryan, a Cubs fan who knows about the Sox show and already will watch the Cubs show, or you're just a Sox fan who hates the White Sox. So, hey, if for some reason you want to watch Cubs live watch-alongs or post-game shows, head over to CHGO Sports or CHGO Cubs. You can watch Joey, Luke Stuckmeyer, Justin Roman, the second build, Patrick Norton, and then
headliner
Kevin Wells, Corey Freeman, Brendan Miller, and more.
Quick jump in on this. Speaking to that point, we did a Blackhawks show the other day, and the Blackhawks show was also very kind, trying to promote the CHGO Cubs. And we immediately got like pelted with thumbs down. Yeah, talk about more hockey and Sox fans and everything. But we do appreciate the effort.
Tell me about Artem Leshinov now.
Yeah.
Will Drew Comezzo be an NHL goalie? I'm not excited for that, but you know, hey, that's what happens when your team's 60 and 102. I'm still a little bit sour on people being like, you're celebrating 60 wins. It's like, did you see what happened last year? Last year was like 100 train wrecks in one, like those trucks that semis that get stuck on train tracks. Like that was what happened. Just that train nailing that aluminum train, crumbling it 100 times.
Yeah, that's a crazy sports privilege take too as well, where it's like if you had to, last year the White Sox fans had to walk to school barefoot in the snow in glass, and now they finally just got a bike. Mm-hmm. Just riding a bike to school, and everyone's like, "Oh, nice bike."
And
it's
you
like,
know what? When you're gonna fall off the bike a couple times,
sure,
you're gonna scrape your knee.
You're gonna spoke out. Of course,
you know our feet are thanking us for having the bike. Yeah, no, it goes back to the Mully take, where Mully's like, the young guys are great, but I want to see us 100 losses. And it's like,
is that what he said?
Great, no, but Mully's like, Mully, let's have a little score. I don't even like when the White Sox lose 100 games. It's boring. Like there's zero nuance. I understand that Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't spend enough on this baseball team. That's something we'll talk about in the C block. In the A block, we'll talk about the greatest thing ever, Colson Montgomery. Probably overusing that, but also am I? I need to check myself, but then also I have stats that just keep saying, oh no, he's insane. We'll talk to Elijah Evans of Just Baseball and Future Sox about Colson Montgomery, the 2026 offseason, and then we will get into the offseason project plan 0.1. We will hopefully get into 0.2 tomorrow. Josh Nelson of Sox Machine will be joining us. So yay, in studio guest. Ooh. And then on Thursday, we'll have a 5:30 show. I'm trying to get Beef Loaf on it, but if you have any thoughts or any White Sox specific guests that you want to see on, let us know. Beef Loaf might be next week. So it could be you. It could be you, Joey. We'll have to see.
The 10th caller gets an appearance on the White Sox.
I hope we get callers one day.
Podcast.
Hopefully that's not a joke. All right, let's talk about Colson Montgomery. One thing that I saw that lit up my morning today was Mike Petriello of MLB.com. He runs StatCast as well. I love his opinions, love his thoughts into baseball because I know it's, largely data-based. And he has, for his Rookie of the Year votes, because he doesn't have an award vote, He has his rookie of the year in the AL being Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, Roman Anthony, Colson Montgomery, and Will Warren. Wait, Joey. Colson Montgomery. Sorry. I actually am a time traveler from March 27th,
From
2025, after Colson Montgomery has not played 3 straight days after his back injury in spring training. Colson Montgomery's the rookie of the year. Is this Braden Montgomery? It says Montgomery. This must be Braden Montgomery. Colson Montgomery's 4th.
Is this a Scooby-Doo?
Possibly an AL rookie
ending?
of the year?
Is that what's going on? The mega happy ending?
Yeah, is that the thing? You pull off Roman Anthony's mask and it's actually Colson Montgomery? And it's like, oh, it's just old Mr. Montgomery from the wood lumber yard. That's what wood comes from. But
That's where all crimes happen. The wood lumber yard.
the wood lumber yard. I'm shocked to see Colson being 5th in rookie of the year. Obviously, he had that great end of the year run, and you look at his stats; they're phenomenal. But still, it's a pinch yourself and to really realize this. He didn't hit his first home run until post All-Star break. He had that triple that was almost a homer in Colorado, but this wasn't a success right off the get. Even when he was called up, you're kind of like, what the hell are they doing? And this kid, after the All-Star break, shut us up. Chris Kampka had the stats, most homers post All-Star break with 0 games played or 0 home runs before the All-Star break. He had 21. The only other people that are like around him was like Rhys Hoskins with 17, Gary Sanchez with 17. He still had 4 more than those other guys. And then also, too, just putting this into perspective, Petriello is saying that he'd be top 5 in Rookie of the Year. I went back all the way to 1991 to look for players with less than 81 games played that finished top 5. We'll get to the graphic really quick, Joey. But it's Brett Barbary of the Montreal Expos in 1991. Then in 2001, it's Adam Dunn. And then in 2005, it's Jeff Francoeur. And then, Joey, now flash it, because then I think the names just pop up on this list here. This is just since 1991. Then it's Miguel Sano in 2015. It's Trey Turner in 2016. It's Gary Sanchez in 2016. This is top 5, by the way. Hoskins 4th. Matt Olson top 4. I think is it OLS? I think it's ON. You change that? I think I have
the
right
spelling?
Olson spelling, yeah.
Oh, Olson?
I think it's Olson. I think I spelled that right. And then 3rd, Wander Franco, redacted, but still, he did play good baseball in 70 games, so he does unfortunately pop up on this list. But truly, about 7 players since 1991, before I was alive, have played in 81 fewer games and has finished in the top 5 of Rookie of the Year voting in either the AL or NL. And again, you look at this, since 2015, these are players that played 81 or fewer games, hitters that played 81 or fewer games, that finished just at all with a Rookie of the Year vote. It's Stephen Piscotty, 63 games. He finished top 6 in the NL, 1.4 WAR. Miguel Sano, 2015. He played in 80 games, 3rd in the AL, 2 WAR. Trey Turner, 73 games in 2016. He finished 2nd in the NL with 4 WAR. You don't have to fix the spelling. It's okay, Joey. Gary Sanchez in 2016, 53 games. 2nd in the AL, 3 WAR. Rhys Hoskins, 2017, 50 games, 4th in the NL, 2 WAR. Matt Olson, 2017, 59 games played, tied for 4th in the AL, 2.1 WAR. Jeff McNeil in 2018, 63 games played, tied for 6th in the NL, 2.6 WAR. Frank Schwindel, shout out, Cub legend, 2021, 64 games played, tied for 6th in the NL, 2 WAR. And then Wander Franco, 2021, 70 games played, 3rd in the AL, 2.4 WAR. Colson Montgomery in, I believe it's 72 games. Let me make sure. 71 games, 2.6 WAR. So the tied for the 3rd most besides Turner, Sanchez, and McNeil. And he played in, I think, the 3rd most on this list, but still it's 71 games. And he put up 2.6 WAR. Most homers on that list as well. The only other shortstop on that list, Joey, is Trey Turner. Oh, Wander Franco, but we don't know what his career would be for reasons that don't even matter.
I think we're prepared to forget about all of it.
Right. But still, that kid got a massive contract outside of what legality issues happened to him. Trey Turner got a $300 million contract. The reality is, what Colson Montgomery is currently doing is putting him on a track to either have Jerry Reinsdorf put up or shut up. contractually. Either have Justin Ishbia be like, no, we can't have this kid leave town. I need to take over this team so you don't just let him walk for nothing. Or we're going to see Colson Montgomery be traded. Because the matter of the fact is, he's playing above average defense. He's hitting for power at shortstop. This kid is going to be worth a ton of money. Because even if he doesn't make it at shortstop, it's possible that he can move over to third base and just be Kyle Seager instead of Corey Seager. And let's flash the Corey Seager comp, because obviously it was made when he was first drafted. And I know it was a little bit ridiculous, but now that the dust is settled, this is Corey Seager, who won Rookie of the Year in 2016, compared to Colson Montgomery. 157 games compared to 71 games. Obviously, it's not the same sample size. But when you look at WAR, it's 5.3 WAR for Seager. It's 3.3 for Montgomery. You look at the home runs. It's 26 for Seager in 157 games. It's 21 for Montgomery. The big difference and the reason why Seager is Seager and Montgomery is the batting average, a 239 batting average for Montgomery, a 308 batting average for Seager, an on base for Colson. Is that 301, Joey? It's a little bit faded.
It's 31, 311 for Colson,
311,
and then 365 for Corey Seager. So a
huge,
little difference there for sure.
54-point gap there in on base percentage. But then Colson Montgomery, 529 slugging, 512 for Corey Seager. And you look at the OPS plus, 134 for Seager, 130 for Montgomery. Maybe he gets to the number in a different way, but he's an above average shortstop defensively, and he's a 130 OPS plus hitter. I know this isn't the perfect math, but like,
you know what?
It's for a player comp, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect science. He might be Corey Seager, guys.
The stat on this sheet that's blowing my mind is look at the hits and right underneath it, the home runs.
Oh, yeah.
61 hits, 21 of them homers.
And Seager, 193 hits, 26 homers. And it's an issue in a way for Colson, right? You want to see more batting average from him. You want to see him get on base more. And if you look at the September numbers, that started to happen. In 105 plate appearances in September's, he still had 6 home runs. It was a 12.4% walk rate, a 31% K rate. It's around what Kyle Teel was. Teel had a 3% better walk rate, but the similar K percent. And you finally saw some average from Colson, a 267 average, a 362 on base percentage, and a 511 slug. That's a weighted runs created plus of 142. And it's mainly because he leveled out his swing just a little bit, not too much. He's still pulling the ball. But instead of pulling the ball 50% of the time, he's pulling it 43% of the time, and he gained that on his line drive. He was around maybe like around a 14% line drive rate. Now he's around a 19% line drive rate. So the fact that Colson's been able to level out that swing just a little bit to gain more batting average, to gain that exit velocity more at a level playing field, to get more hits, he is shaping up to be a dangerous hitter. He might not be a Corey Seager, Barry Bonds-esque control of the plate, but the way that he's able to use his athleticism is next level. He's swinging the bat like Giancarlo Stanton swings it, but at a shortstop level. I think his bat speed will decline with age, as most players do, but it is the building blocks of something great. And I know Luis Robert Jr. didn't turn into what we've wanted from Luis Robert Jr., but that career and that story is still being written. Colson Montgomery might not be a generational talent, but he's on the watch list. Ooh, maybe when we're talking about watch lists and certain people that we've been talking about today, that's not a good thing. He might be good, okay? We're going to take a break here. After the break, we'll thankfully be joined by Elijah Evans, so I don't have to talk as much as I normally do. We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll see you in 2 minutes. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. It is the place to be betting NFL and college football, mainly because they have their early payout offer. You're a winner if your team goes up 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So make sure you download the app and use code CHGO365. When you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets. whether that bet of $5, that initial bet of $5, wins or loses. You also want to check out Bet365 for their great NFL offers throughout the season. On Thursday Night Football, they have a $10 safety net same game parlay bet. On Sunday night, they have a $365,000 jackpot of bonus bets. You can place a $10 bet on the first touchdown scorer and get a split of $365,000 in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game. And now tonight, with 2 Monday night games, you can take advantage of their 50% Super Boost profit token on same game parlays, 100% parlay boost. You could double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost. So download the app, use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. You also got MLB playoffs coming out, so check out our friends over at Bet365. Must be 21 plus if you're someone who has a gambling problem. Crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in app only. All right, the next 50 seconds is just going to be me holding up this can of RC and making the angelic noises of Let's be real for a second, okay? This pop right here in my hand has stupidly changed my life. I thought I was a red can guy, if we can make sense of that. And I didn't know that RC Zero Sugar was this damn good. RC is an OG in a world of spineless soft drinks. There's no trends, no gimmicks, and no glow-ups. RC hasn't changed the stripe since 1905 because it didn't need to. It is not a soft drink, just damn good cola. This is the best cola out there. For Illinoisans, pop is a religion. This is the best pop. And we know this because when you walk into a true Chicago pizzeria, you see RC. Check out our friends over at RC. Stock up for watching the game, back to school celebrations. RC is the move for whatever you're doing. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. We are very excited to be joined by the Director of Operations of Just Baseball Media. What an official title. Hello, Elijah Evans.
You make me sound way too fancy, Sean, but it's good to join you, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, it's your Twitter bio. I'm just reading it off. You're very fancy. You're flying from Europe to Chicago to California. Dude, I mean, Director of Operations making international flights. It's just your life. I'm just describing it. Excited to have you on. I've been talking a ton about Colson. I think it's the easiest topic that White Sox fans have had to talk about for about 3 years. How good is Colson Montgomery? What's your favorite Colson Montgomery stat? I'm just trying to make sense of what we've been seeing. I asked the question, is he a generational talent? The fact that it's a question, I think people should be excited. You know, it's not a no. It's not a yes, but it's not a no.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's super exciting. It's just cool to see everything he's been able to do and just see a guy that had a tough road the last couple of years, honestly, right? I think people forget, this is a guy who got a lot of his AA and minor league career cut short with some injuries in 2022, 2023. You get in, you just got to deal with all those kind of ups and downs. He has a really tough year last season in AAA, reworks the swing. This season, he goes down to Arizona. There's been a lot of these ups and downs, and I think myself included and everyone expected a little bit more of a transition because of that. And then he just comes in and he hits the ground running, and everything that they worked on with him and just him getting through those challenges, to see him do what he did in his first, handful of MLB games, it's just so impressive and it's so fun. And it also just I do think he's embracing this power hitter kind of role and this archetype of he knows he can barrel the ball really well. And he's playing into that and not letting the trying to be a perfect, well-rounded player aspect get to him. And honestly, yeah, he might not hit quite the average of the on-base marks that we maybe thought he was going to a couple years ago. The White Sox need power, man. We all know this. And if Colson can be the guy who is in the middle of your lineup hitting 30 homers a year, I'm good with some of those other things being a little bit less than maybe what we initially envisioned from him a few years back.
Right. He's not Corey Seager, but hey, if he's hitting 30 homers like Corey Seager and playing above average defense, as long as it kind of walks and talks like Corey Seager, we'll take it. Yeah, I wonder, too, about his batted ball profile because I just talked about his September. We saw a little bit more line drives from him. It was a 142 weighted runs created plus. We didn't see, over 10 home runs like we saw in August, but still 6 home runs, around a 12% walk rate, 31% K rate. Do you like where his swing currently is at? Do you want to see a more flattened out swing or him, pulling the ball 50% of the time and hitting a fly ball 50% of the time will lead to 30 homers at the end of the day? You'll just take that, or do you want to see that flatten out happening?
I'm kind of okay with where he's at, honestly, man. I think maybe a slight adjustment, but I honestly think that him elevating the ball and him getting into that pull side air pull is what makes him the best version of himself. Like that is what that's what he's doing right now, and that's the version of Colson that we're seeing have this type of success. So I don't think you need to change a lot. I think where you'll see some of that adjustment naturally is the approach. I think you're going to see a guy who is naturally a very patient hitter as he was coming through the system. You're going to see him get more comfortable with big league pitching. You're going to see him kind of ease into that role a little bit more, feel a little bit more at the plate, right? Like I think we're going to see, that 8% walk rate that he just had at the big leagues tick up towards 10, 11, 12%, which if you've got an over 10% walk rate for that guy, I'm okay with him selling out's the wrong word, but I think you're okay with him leaning into that pull and that air pull a little bit more often if he's walking even more, right? I think you're going to see the OBP climb with him getting more comfort at the plate. So I'm good with it, man. Honestly, I think there's a lot of hitters on this team who are a little bit more contact oriented, putting the ball in play more consistently, not necessarily getting under it as much. And if Colson's the guy who's air pulling 50% of the time, like I'm kind of cool with it.
I'm super cool with it. Honestly, it's more just to sound smart. I could honestly just drool over the kid for 15 minutes, but I don't know if that's like compelling. Sam in the chat making a good point. People in the chat don't typically make good points, but he says Sean looks cute today and Elijah looks handsome today. So I think Sam makes a good point that good looking duo here. All right, when you're looking at other players currently on the 2025 White Sox team, who else embraced that Ryan Fuller mentality of air pull, quality contact, and then making the right swing decisions? Did Lenyn Sosa maybe embrace that enough to see 2026 playing time? Was it maybe Miguel Vargas? Who kind of stood out the most of embracing the Ryan Fuller effect?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you got a little bit of elements of it from multiple places, right? I think you had the ability to just tap into power and to lean into the power more. You saw from Sosa. On the flip side, Sosa's also a guy who walked at a 3% clip, I want to say. So that's the trade-off there, where it's a guy who is swing heavy. He doesn't have the best patience at the plate often, but you saw him get into his power more than he ever has before, and he's always had that type of power. But a jump from 100 games last year with 8 homers, and he goes up to 22 homers across 140 games this season. Like, you're seeing a different version of Lenyn Sosa. What's interesting with him is, as much as he took a step forward, I'm just not sure the White Sox want to carry a guy who got on base. His career best season was getting on base at a 290 clip this year, right? So that's a guy who and the positional aspect of Sosa, right? Like I see Sosa personally as the number one trade candidate this offseason. And that's nothing against Lenyn Sosa. He had a heck of a season. But where are you playing Lenyn Sosa, right? Are you rotating him at second and first, where he's not great at either? They seem to want Maedroth to get a lot of the reps at second base at this point, right? Colson's going to be at shortstop. He's proven he can play shortstop at least for the next year. Plus, you've got Chase Maedroth, who you're going to want to work in at second base. Miguel Vargas can play either corner, but Sosa hasn't looked great at first, frankly, right? So then it's like, where do you fit him in? If you're DHing him, you're sacrificing at bats that Caro and Teel could be getting at that point, right? So I think Sosa could be the one guy you're looking at for an offseason trade, which is interesting because he led the team in home runs and he had a great year and it was great to see, but
yeah, no, I mean, it feels more like Daniel Palka, right? Rather than maybe a Romy Gonzalez. I know you guys had the chance to speak with Gene Watson on Fan Appreciation Day. I did as well. I asked him about Lenyn, and he said, some good teams were even asking about Lenyn before this year. Do you think that there's much trade value in him? Like, do you think it's maybe just to get a relief arm to fill out this terrible pen?
I think there could be a little more juice than that, honestly. I really do. I think this is a guy who, you got to remember, Lenyn Sosa is 25 years old, right? Like, I think he seems like he's about 29 because he's been in the org for so long at this point. And he had ups and downs, and he came up to the bigs in 22 and 23 and didn't do much. And like, it definitely seems like he's older than he is at this point. But this is a guy who was really good his entire minor league career. He took a little bit of time to adjust. And this is his second full season getting actual big league reps consistently. And he put up a 22 home run season at 25 years old, right? So I do think there's a good amount of trade value there. I'd be interested to see if there is a Sosa plus a pitcher package that could get a bigger deal done. What I would be looking at is an outfielder that can be a long-term piece for a team that needs another infield bat potentially and maybe another starting pitcher, right? You can look at a Davis Martin, look at a Jonathan Cannon, look at a couple other guys on the pitching side who maybe don't have a locked down rotation spot going forward that could be used as a developmental pitching project for a team with a Lenyn Sosa if somebody needs infield more than outfield, right? I'm curious to see what the market looks like, and maybe you just roll with Sosa as your rotating, 2 days a week at second, 2 days a week at first, 2 days a week at DH. And like, that's okay. I'm open to that. But I just am not sure he quite fits the timeline and the roster right now.
The one thing that seems obvious to me is just buy out Benintendi, just pay the $17 million so
I think you can trade him,
play.
honestly. I don't know, man. I think there's a world where you can trade Benny. You're going to have to eat some money for sure. You're going to have to eat some money, yes. But I don't know. He had a pretty good end of the season. It's no longer like 4 years of 17 million, right? It's 17 million and it's 15 million. So it's 2 years at 32 million, right? It's a lot of money. I don't think anybody is jumping out of their seat to pay that for Benintendi, but I think you could eat half of that and get Benintendi off in a trade potentially. But yes.
Yeah. I just wonder too, because you bring up the idea of bringing in an outfielder. I think, Benintendi is clogging the ability for maybe a Lenin Sosa to play some DH if it wasn't Teel or Caro. But when you look at an outfielder, is that to play left field? Is that to play right field? Do you think that there's any Braden Montgomery ability to be on the opening day roster in right field? I see that, he could be possibly on a Cam Smith timeline, didn't get the first full year like Cam Smith did in the minor leagues, but, played 1 year in the minors and then got that promotion. I wouldn't hate to see Montgomery in right field on opening day, but do you think that's out of the possibility? Do you think they keep him down?
I don't think it's out of the possibility. I think it'd be a little aggressive. I think you're looking at a Braden Montgomery midseason call-up, which is perfectly fine in my eyes. Like, I think that there's a couple things you still want to see him work through. You want to get him to Charlotte, see him tap in there a little bit more, right? I think with Montgomery, you've seen the spurts of power, but I do think there's still more power for him to get into the more comfortable he gets to the minor league level. I think the swing was still a little bit long at times this season. You saw a little more whiff than you were hoping to see. He's going to be a guy that whiffs throughout his career, but I think that for him, just another tick up in terms of the power and the approach at the plate would set him up really well. The way I look at it is if you move one of Tauchman or Benintendi before the season, right, you open up that spot for X outfielder. And then the second one, you move at the deadline, which opens up, or even before the deadline, which opens up the second spot for Braden Montgomery. I think if you're not trading Luis Robert, and Luis Robert trade would change everything, right? But I think generally speaking that by mid-season 2026, you'd like to have X young outfielder plus Braden Montgomery in your everyday outfield, whoever that third piece is, whether it's Robert staying in center or Montgomery testing some center or whoever the acquisition is being a center fielder, right? I think the goal by the end of next season is to have two of those guys, though Braden and a second new outfielder in addition to one of the remaining holdovers, whether it be Robert or Tauchman or Benny.
I think that's fair. And I think Tauchman coming back is likely seems cheap, but also will his knees be able to hold up for 3 months? We'll have to wait and see. The big question there, though, is Robert, you bring him up. Are you buying into that Bruce Levine report that says the White Sox need to trade him, and if they don't, they can only spend $10 million? First of all, this offseason, if you had to go scale of 0 to 100, Robert getting traded, likelihood of that is what?
I'd put it at a 30, maybe 35. I think there's a chance, right? I think there's a team, if a team underperforms in the playoffs, let's say a team like the Phillies is a first round exit, right? If the Phillies are a first round exit, they've got an aging core. They need another outfielder to balance that out. There's Kyle Schwarber sitting free agency. Nick Castellanos might be on the way out. I could see a team like the Phillies, if they have a disappointing playoff, saying, hey, we need to go get a guy that has a legit upside. Yeah, it's a risk, but we got to take that chance, right? There's some teams that could make that type of move. I think more likely is the White Sox hold him. I don't see any chance they decline the option. I know there was a report about that after the deadline of they might just decline it. I'm I don't see that happening in any world. So I think it's either, a team gets desperate and they make a move for Robert and they trade the White Sox a legit hitting prospect, which if that happens, I'm all for it. If the Phillies or another team that's in win now mode wants Luis Robert that badly, go for it. And if not, then you go into the season with him in center field. You hope he stays healthy, right? That's the situation with Robert every year now is you just hope he stays healthy. And come the deadline, if he's playing well and he's healthy and there's suitors for him and you want to move him and you have the ability to have someone else that plays center, whether it be Brooks Baldwin or Braden Montgomery or an external addition, then you move him then. So I think it's possible that he gets moved, but I don't think it's more. I definitely would put it under 50% in my eyes.
I agree with you on under 50%. You brought up the Phillies. I think Dombrowski hates Getz. When I think it was Nightingale came on and after the deadline and said to foul territory, people don't like Chris Getz. It's like, yeah, it's Dave Dombrowski. I don't think the Phillies were even in on Robert this deadline. It seemed like it was mainly the Mets. I could see the Mets being in on him, being able to cover center field. Maybe you shade him a little bit towards right to cover Soto a little bit. And if you lose Alonso, maybe he's able to solve a little bit of that power if he stays healthy. But I think I'd see the Mets not caring about that number.
The issue with the Mets is one of my favorite prospects in baseball is a center fielder for them, Carson Bench, who's just about league ready. So I'm curious to see what the Mets do. And obviously prospects don't dictate everything, but I do think Bench is like right now the opening day center fielder for the Mets. So depending on his development, they might see Robert as a stopgap, but I also could see them just rolling with the young guys because the Mets they're in a weird spot. We're going to see what happens with them, but after missing the playoffs, they're going to do whatever they got to do. So
that's fair. And I wonder too, maybe you move Soto to DH. Oh, go ahead.
Right. On the payroll point too, like, I don't really see it that way. I think the White Sox, Luis Robert and Andrew Benintendi are the only two non-arbitration contracts that are actually on the books, right? So you've got so much. I don't buy into this whole, like, there's no money anywhere. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to go out and spend a ton of money, right? Like, I just don't. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be crazy, but I think they're going to spend at least something. I don't see Robert being the barrier to spending anything.
We'll be late to break, just real quick. So I have Baldwin, Lee, Teel, Robert, Benny, Vargas, Montgomery, Mydroff, Caro, Smith, Martin, Burke, Vassell, Leisure, Taylor on my roster. So that's like, about half the roster, 13 to 14 filled out of the 26. They're at 51.2. Do you think that number gets over 80 to fill out the rest of that roster? Because I think with the CHSN transition, they're at least waiting until 2027 to possibly make any move. I think it's under 85.
Yeah. I think when you factor the rest of that roster being a lot of young pitchers, right? So you're going to have a lot of these 700, 800K, whatever the minimum is right now. You're going to have a lot of those remaining spots being those 800K pitchers, right? So if you think about it that way, I look at it as like 5 spots left to fill realistically for, if you push it to 55, right, with those added guys in. So I'm like, I think you've got I think it gets up to 90, man. I think it gets up to 90-ish. Maybe that's being optimistic of me, but I think you can get to the below 100, but push past that 80 mark and actually add a competitive piece or a few of them.
Left 4 spots open that weren't at league minimum, which I have at 780,000. That puts him at 56.7. So 4 spots.
Four spots. You can make some real additions with 30 to 40 million. Like, I'm not saying
I agree, but I don't. I don't think they get to 30 to 40. I wish. I agree with you, man. Like, 30 to 40 makes them like an 80-win team possibly.
I don't think that's crazy, and maybe it's less than that. But again, if it's one legit ad that's not just a penny pinching, like, see what happens reclamation project, right? I feel a lot better about this roster if you can at least say, here's one guy we added that we spent legitimate money on and is going to be a serious upgrade for this roster.
Yeah, and Baseball Toss asking about extensions. Do you see a Montgomery extension in all this offseason? I threw out the idea of him kind of getting a Basayo type extension, but maybe he's a little bit older, have to be a little bit more money. What do you think of that?
I said this to somebody, to Dylan Barnes, my co-host, the other day. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I almost would rather see a Kyle Teel extension, to be honest. And maybe that's a bold take of me, but I think a Kyle Teel extension would be cheaper and would be a little bit of a safer bet overall. And that's not to say I don't think Colson's going to remain good, because I do think he is. But I think Kyle Teel, you've got the baseline of an above average player for the next 10 years plus, right? Yeah. And I also think that's a guy who would be more willing to take a little bit of a safer deal than a Colson would. I think Colson, you're going to be having to pay the premium of his upside rather than Teel, whose ceiling is not what Colson's is, but you could get it at a little bit lower rate. I think those are the two candidates. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those two get a serious look at an extension.
This is why you direct operations, sir. That's a good answer. I wasn't even thinking about Teel, and I think that's fair. I think there's probably a lower ceiling, but probably a safer floor. So no, that's a great call. Elijah Evans, the director of operations over at Just Baseball, does a great job with Future Sox as well, which is a part of the Just Baseball family. Make sure you check him out on Twitter at ElijahEv8. Thank you so much for the insight, Elijah. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, John. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. The kid is smart, man. I'm screwed. All right. We got to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We got about 10 more minutes to talk about the White Sox. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. We want to let you know about our friends over at Eye on the Ball. If you are a coach, listen up. If you're looking for more athletes to train, Eye on the Ball is where you need to be. This is where my mic needs to be. It's simple. You just create a profile, upload your background check, and boom, you're in. For new promo for coaches, you get the first 6 months free with our friends over at Eye on the Ball. Then just for $50 a month or $500 for the whole year, athletes of all ages and all sports can find you directly. And here's the best part. Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedule, your payments, or your business. You're in full control. They just connect you with athletes who are already looking for a coach like you. So if you're ready to grow your coaching business and reach more athletes, go check it out right now at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Don't wait. The athletes are already there looking for you, and they are a fantastic company started by CHGO diehards. Great company to support, so go check out our friends over at Eye on the Ball. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Ray. CDJR, Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram is your chance, or is where you can get your chance to score a great deal at the Drive Into Fall event. Head into Ray CDJR on Route 12 to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Right now, get up to $15,000 off MSRP or get 0% financing for 72 months on new 2025 models. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with a friendly team of brand experts. The team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the next vehicle you need with the raised price promise. The price you see is the price you get. You can shop confidently because the price you see is the price you get. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. I'm so glad I don't have to read anymore because, boy, it's a struggle sometimes. That and math, and I have a college degree. So, folks, it's possible. You can do it. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We will have 3 shows this week. Tomorrow at 6 and then Thursday at 5:30. Tomorrow at 6, Josh Nelson will be here. On Thursday, someone else will be here. I don't know who yet, but someone, and we're excited. So, excited for somebody to be here. If you do have any thoughts, pick the guest. I'll book them. I know people. Just, who do you want to see? We're going to get a long offseason coming ahead. I can only talk about Colson Montgomery for so long. And if there's maybe somebody that I'm missing out on, I know, obviously, I love Elijah. I think Elijah has been the most frequent guest that we've had this year.
He's great.
So if you want to see somebody else, let me know. I know Baseball Toss is a Sox freak. So if he's got any sicko takes, maybe there's a podcast I'm not watching.
My brain's really itching here on this Kyle Teel extension.
It's sick.
If you could, what's the hypothetical there? Like 7 for 50?
So Basayo
5 for 42,
7 years, 62.5, 25.5 of it was guaranteed. I think that Teel. The issue is you want to try to buy out a year of unrestricted free agency.
Right.
So if you're looking at Teal's next years, you have 2 years of pre-arb, and then you have 3 years of arbitration, and then you have a UFA. So if you were going to get him a deal, you probably want it to be 6 to 8 years. And the issue is the further you go past arbitration, the higher that number goes up. So the Basayo extension would be like in year 1, he's making $1 million. Year 2, he's making $2 million. Year 3, it's 3.5. Year 7, it's $7 million. Year 5, it's $12 million. Year 6, it's a team option. It's $15 million. Year 7, it's $22 million. Right. And maybe you can level out those first 3 years and have it be at like a flat rate of $3 million. Right.
I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think Kyle Tucker is a $10 million. Kyle Teel, excuse me, is a $10 million player right now. But if you could have him somewhere where there is that escalator and it gets to the 7 or 8 range, Kyle Teel does not turn that down, and that's a good deal for the White Sox.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, I disagree that he's not a $10 million player because right now he just put up like 1.4 WAR or whatever it was, 1.7 WAR. We typically on the open market, I'm acting like I'm a part of the baseball mind, but typically WAR is evaluated at $9 million per 1 WAR. So he's already over one WAR at 1.7. Like,
Okay.
Him being under $3 million for 3 years, like him making league average right now or league minimum is a steal. So that's why the extensions are usually valuable, is because he'll put up the most value in those early years.
Sure.
It's just kind of risky.
Well, and it provides the
You'll be
player
able to
with
offset
security
that,
if they're
right.
willing to, provides them security if they're
But you
willing to
look at-
shave a couple million off their annual value.
You look at those first 5 years, if they give him $25 million guaranteed, right? Like that's a great contract for the Sox. Like he's going to put up $25 million worth of value. Even if he doesn't hit, he's a good enough catcher just to put up that value. So, seven.
7 for 50. Does he say no?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because again, I have it at 762.5, but only 25.5 of it's guaranteed because there's 15 million and 22 million in team option. So it's all about that guaranteed number, really.
Yeah.
So I mean, that guaranteed number, you can make it, if you want to make it 35 million. I think he probably takes that for the next 5 years because he's not going to see 35 million. He's going to see under, $1 million probably for the next 2 years. He just made under $1 million this year. So him taking, $7 million for the next 3 years, it's a good deal. He's not going to get $7 million. So that number doesn't have to get that stupidly high. I think that was Elijah's point. It's just more who will give in, Teel or Colson. And I think Teel kind of has less of a little bit more of a relaxed vibe, where Colson, I think, you kind of see he knew he was a pro. I think he wants to be a professional. Teel, in no disrespecting way, is a baseball player, and it's not about the contract. He's getting paid to pay baseball. I think Colson's trying to be like, no, I want to get paid.
Yeah,
to
there's
play baseball in no disparaging way. So
No, there's
yeah, I
nothing
think
wrong
there's
with Colson wanting to maximize what he's put forth on the field. And if you're Kyle Teel and you're the Chicago White Sox, I'm really intrigued by that extension type question because I think both sides would be amenable to it. I think both sides would probably get the number that they would desire, and that number that they would desire would probably be a huge bargain for the White Sox. Like a huge bargain. And maybe you do team option him at 14, 15 million, but I think you could get him to probably get somewhere in the AAV after that third or fourth year in the $8 to $11 million range.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of why extensions typically make sense, because you can pay players and inflate your payroll, and you're typically going to pay them anyways, and you're going to gain 1 year of free agency that you typically wouldn't. So instead of having a guy for 6 years, you get a 7th year for really nothing. So I mean that's what is happening with Robert. I mean, you didn't hit the jackpot yet, but for under $100 million, you could possibly just trade it in for 2 other guys that might get $80 million extensions, right? So it's weird. Anyways, any final thoughts?
Oh, I was just going to say, and also on the flip side of it, I think there's plenty of conversations in 2021 when people were asking themselves, is Tim Anderson a $100 million player? And he wasn't. And he never got that money. And it never happened.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's why,
it's the other side of the coin.
Again, that's the issue with baseball is you got typically about a 6-year window to make it happen, and that's, you're not free agent year. So that's why the extension is typically, enticing for players, is because it's guaranteed money. And if you have a Tim Anderson career where you win a batting title and are unable to cash in as a free agent, you at least have something to fall back on. So it's an unfair advantage, and that's also why they put in those escalators. If you're a Rookie of the Year winner, you get 1 less year of control. Like, I think there probably needs to be some figuring out of equity, right? Like, Colson Montgomery should probably hit free agency a lot sooner than he does, or should be able to hit like a maximum guaranteed contract, like you get max contracts for RFAs in the NBA.
Methinks they're going to be discussing this after the 2026 season, especially when we're also talking about a salary cap.
Not doing lockout talk today.
I know,
pull up Tankathon while we're doing this. We're gonna hit the offseason project plan 0.1 real quick. What we talked about a little bit there with Elijah Evans are the players that I think are secured, and putting them around. I won't do the 56 million just to leave some spots open. So I right now have Caro as the catcher. Obviously, that'd be split with Teel, but I have Teel as the designated hitter spot, so we'll just, they'll be both playing, hopefully, in the lineup every single day. Caro at catcher. Second base, I have Mydroth. Shortstop, I have Colson. Third base, I have Miguel Vargas. We know his flexibility that he could play first base. I wouldn't be mad if he ends up at first base right now, but I do think I'd rather see Vargas over Ramos, and that's about in-house options. I don't think they'd be able to afford a third baseman on the free agent market. I think first base might be more likely, but we'll have to end up seeing. Left field, I have Benintendi because I don't think they'll be able to move on from him, unlike our pal Elijah Evans. In center field, Luis Robert Jr., designated hitter Kyle Teel, utility Corey Lee, obviously mainly catcher, but hey, we saw him play left field. Utility also Brooks Baldwin. So you need to fill out 2 bench spots. You need to fill out right field, and you need to fill out first base. That's 3 spots open right there. You need to fill out 2 rotation spots because I think Shane Smith and Davis Martin, along with Sean Burke, will be in the rotation next year to start opening day. So you need 2 more pitchers there. And then I have Vassell, Leisure, and Taylor being in the bullpen right now with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. So you need 10 more players, and you're at $51.2 million. That's the figuring out that we need to do over the next couple of days. We'll talk to Josh Nelson tomorrow to figure out offseason project plans, looking at SP's starting pitchers 4 and 5. You have Jonathan Cannon in the option. You have Yoendry Gomez as an option. You have Wikelman Gonzalez as an option. I wouldn't be surprised if they bought Martin Perez back for about $5 million. That would put their salary up to $56 million, which I could see happening. I could also see Wikelman being a relief pitcher if he doesn't shake out as a starting pitcher and they have enough in Charlotte. I don't think it's out of the question that Hagan or Noah could possibly pitch their way into the opening day roster, but I think likely both of them will start at Charlotte. I wouldn't be shocked to see them in SP 4 or 5, but I do think it's unlikely. Then you look at the bench, at least in-house options. I think Ramos could be considered. I think Dominic Fletcher could be considered. I think Curtis Mead, although Baseball Tells doesn't want him on the roster and considered, I do think that he's at least an option. He does have MILB options. We'll throw Lenine Sosa in there as well, but he's a real question mark. I'm unsure where he fits. Our guy Elijah laid it out there. He's got power, but he really doesn't have a defensive position. Maybe someone else can put him as a bench bat and feel a little bit more comfortable with him being a pinch hitter. Right field right now, I only have Braden Montgomery, and then first base, I only have Elko. But I don't think they're putting him there. So, you know, we'll see. I think that I think that we're gonna see over this next week a little bit more clear of a decision when I really dive into these free agents. You know, who makes the right contact, who makes the right swing decisions, and who is able to pull the ball. And we'll see probably some real significant standouts for that outfield position. I'll be able to work that in, and I think then we'll be able to figure out pitchers. And this should shape up by next week, me having my first 1.0 offseason project plan. And shout out to Fat Hipster saying Pete Alonso at first base and Schwarber in right field.
Guys got a dream. Guys got a dream, Sean.
I'm putting Schwarber in right field. We could figure out the DH position to put Schwarber there. Yes. But also, guys got a dream. And then Randy's got a dream. Shane Smith, Colson Montgomery, Kyle Teel, Edgar Carroll, and Chase Mydroth as All-Stars in 2026. Brother, they'd have to be the best team in the AL to be having, 5 All-Stars?
It's 105 win teams get that many All-Stars on their squad.
Yeah, pick one or pick two. I maybe Colson, maybe Teel. I'd be shocked to see Carroll or Mydroth. Maybe Smith, but I don't know about that. Fat Hipster saying Sosa should be traded for relief. That's the one thing that I just, I love Elijah. I don't know about trading Benintendi and Sosa. I don't know if they have that much value. Maybe you are able to attach Jonathan Cannon, but we'll have to see what happens and what my brain can figure out over the next couple days. We have a 6 p.m. show tomorrow. Josh Nelson of Sox Machine will join us then. We'll see you tomorrow on the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. We'll see you then. Yeah, bye.
We all silly like the mayor.